I'm Alex Grieve, better known as I Be Crazy, and in this video I'm reviewing the Mobius V2, which I got courtesy of GearBest. Now when it comes to recording HD video on a multi-rotor, we all know that the GoPro is king. But when you have a small multi-rotor like this, a GoPro might be too large and might weigh it down excessively, and thus the Mobius often finds its way onto the mini multi-rotors. Straight out, I'd give the Mobius a 7 out of 10. There are many things I like about it, but there are a lot of things that I didn't like about it. But first, I'll tell you what I really did like about it. First of all, the nighttime performance of this camera absolutely knocked my socks off. I could fly over a lit up parking lot at night and still see things that weren't lit, such as the trees around me and even the buildings near where I was standing, and it did excellent. Another thing I found out, it does great during the day. Even when aimed directly into the sun, it did great at adjusting the contrast so you can see everything instead of just the sun's glare. Another thing I like about this is that this has a wide-angle lens, 120 degrees, so it picks up a lot more than the original Mobius. Another thing that's great about it is the weight is only 48 grams, so it's not a featherweight, but it's not exactly heavy either. This is one of the few cameras that has ever actually outperformed my flight camera, and that is absolutely impressive. But not everything about this camera is great. There are several things I really didn't like. The first thing I don't like is that if you reduce the quality from 1080 to 720, it crops the sensor. Instead of simply reducing the quality that comes in and using 120 degrees of sensor, it crops it to about 60 or 70 degrees, so you get less view. In most cases, this is not a good thing, especially for a mini multi-rotor. Another thing I didn't like about it was the battery life is relatively short. You get about a half hour of record time on this thing, even though you can put a 64 gigabyte card in the back. So if you want a longer run time, you're going to need to run a 5-volt system out of your receiver or 5 volts on board the aircraft into the camera. Another thing I really didn't like at all is when you crash hard, often the SD card will eject from the camera. And yeah, good luck finding that if it comes out of the vehicle and went on a tumble. You'll never find it again. So if you're gonna run this, I highly recommend taping your SD card in so that it doesn't come out. Another thing I didn't care about was the finish. Sure, it looks really good, but nothing sticks to this except for CA. Super glue or CA was the only thing I could get to stick reliably to this. So the sticky back Velcro I found kept peeling off and wouldn't stick until I put a little bit of CA down, and then it would actually adhere the Velcro so I could strap it onto my aircraft. So if you're looking for a light, small form factor, high performance HD camera that's not going to break the bank, I highly recommend the Mobius V2. Just be warned of its short battery life and the fact that the SD card could eject, but other than that, it really does perform great, and for under $100, you really can't beat it. Sure, it's not perfect, but it sure as heck isn't bad either. I might be crazy, and keep 'em flying.